Hello Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading / astrology talk here at the Intuitive Teacup. I'm happy to have you all. We're going to mix it up this week and do it a little bit differently. We are going to do tarot. I'm also going to walk you through a couple big transits because it's like astrologically, it's just a big week. So I like to insert little pieces of that here and there, but I'm going to do a little bit more. So hopefully you enjoyed this reading. If not, I'll see you next time. But let's set the intention here and now to get my Capricorns out there watching. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Let's get them some clear, helpful, insightful messages for wherever they are currently at on their spiritual path. My PS to all this is specifically with these astrology talks, watch your rising sign. If you want more accuracy, if you're hoping to resonate with the material more, highly recommend you do a quick Google search. You just need to know your time and place of birth. Watch your rising sign. Of course, anyone and everyone is welcome into this reading, sun, moon, rising, whatever. But yeah, here we go. So Taurus season is just about upon us. Friday, April 19th, the sun moves into Taurus. So that is going to highlight for my Capricorn risings, your fifth house of creativity, fun, pleasure, hobbies, dating, sex for fun, things you do for pleasure. Also in that area, there's going to be this really cool, well, in theory, really cool, really impactful, I'll say it that way, conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus. Which happens, I think, like every 12 or 16 years. It's pretty significant. And for you, it's happening in kind of a cool house. Your fifth house, again, of creative hobbies, pleasure, dating, all those things we already talked about. So with that, as the sun moves into Taurus, there's going to be more focus there. It's also going to square Pluto immediately. Now, Pluto has recently moved into your second house of assets, money, what you do for money, essentially things you value, your resources. And it's going to be there a good long while, but something about money versus, something for pleasure or hobby, there's going to be a challenge there, essentially, when planets make a square. Now, it's not a death sentence. It is not like a punishment. It's just simply the aspect of a square. It presents you with a challenge where you have to kind of meet the opportunity head on. And, just to be really transparent, it's not always easy, especially when Pluto is involved. Now, keep in mind, the sun squares Pluto throughout the year, but it just feels significant because it's all happening in this sign of Taurus, which is having a lot of energy and focus and pull right now. With that conjunction, there's also going to be sextiles, and that's an aspect in astrology where there's small opportunities, good opportunities, no less, between this sort of Mars-Saturn conjunction that we're having in Pisces in your third house. So there's a lot of conversation and dialogue about those fifth house matters. There's been tons of focus on, and so something I wanted to mention about like creative control or money and feeling maybe controlled about what you once viewed as something like for fun. I don't know if it is at all related to work, and it may or may not be. I just sense like there's going to be tension there. There's going to be some tension there. So breathe, exhale. The Mars-Saturn conjunction in your fifth house, because Mars is ruling your fourth house of Aries. There's been a lot of focus there. Venus, Mercury retrograding in Aries. There's a lot of going back to rethink, replan, redo, reassess. And that Mars-Saturn stuff is as much as we want to gain speed and momentum, there has been challenging and heavy-hearted delays. Now, that has already essentially happened. I'm not predicting that by any means. We already had that Mars-Saturn conjunction. But those are slower-moving planets, especially Saturn. It's an outer planet, right? So something about things to do with your house, contracts, negotiations, wanting to put momentum into projects and things regarding your house, your personal life, your home, your living situation. Saturn is not quite yet, which is annoying, but something about sort of getting serious, getting responsible, and there is such a contrast in the speed. Mars says go fast, but Saturn says absolutely not. We have to do it right. And just to be frank with you, Saturn is going to win that battle, right? It has more power, it has more energy. So that is going to be regarding, again, things in your fourth house. And the Mercury retrograde, too, again, is speaking about something we want to move forward with. Ooh, we hit a roadblock or an obstacle. So there's challenges there. We are going to hop into the tarot. I wanted to highlight some of those things because, they're big. That conjunction, I'm very curious to hear how it resonates for you Capricorn risings. And some of you Capricorns may feel it anyway, particularly if you have placements in Taurus, right? or Virgo for that matter. I mean, it's going to be more of a blessing. For some of you, it could indicate maybe a change in sort of the way you present yourself to the world, how you move through the world. That first house, if you're Capricorn rising, is at, I'm give or take like 18 to 23 degrees of Capricorn or anything in Virgo, you're going to get a trine. So there's going to be like a huge blessing there, right? But that's what I mean. Like it's impactful in multiple ways. So anyway, just throwing that at you. Look out for that. Saturday, April 20th. What is shocking? What is life-changing? What is unexpected or different? Or and in a way that is forcing you to grow and leave your comfort zone. That's sort of that Jupiter-Uranus stuff. Jupiter does have a lot to do with faith and religion and spirituality. It has a lot to do with travel. I mean, it is a planet closely associated with money and good luck and blessings. So unexpected blessings and fifth house stuff. For some of you, there could be unexpected pregnancy. And for some of you, there could even be sort of this idea of something that you were told, no, we're not going to do that. It might just come into fruition, and just like that, it's yours. Like it could be something very like, I had my hopes on it, and then I was told no, and then all of a sudden it just manifested instantly for me. Like there's a magical element to this for sure. So anyway, here we go. Let's talk tarot now. For Capricorn rising, specifically Capricorn Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, the Moon, off into the unknown. Sometimes the moon can speak about not feeling great. It can talk about illness or, and I don't predict scary things. That's not what this is about. I have no reason not to give you kind of the dimensions of what this card could be. Sometimes it has to do with tapping into your intuition or your creativity. More often than not, it's trusting that the path you're on is right, even if sometimes you're feeling a little bit foggy about the next step or unclear about where to go from here. For a lot of you, if you got started on something, it's like trusting your intuition that you weren't led astray, but the full answers haven't been revealed for you. Yeah, because something is growing here, something is building. Some of you may be debating a contract or trying to, again, that Mercury retrograde, it's like reassess or refine, or there's a better word for it, but revisit a contract that it's like, I'm hearing you like, I just need more clarity on this. Can we just go over this one more time? I'm even seeing like architectural like maps and plans and strategies and like laying blueprints out on the table. Some of you might be constructing a house and you reached a roadblock. For one or two of you, does this even make sense? Where is Neptune? I'm almost getting some of the idea about an issue with water or an issue with flooding or pipes or having to reroute something because of a body of water or a system of water. That's very interesting. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but that's coming through for some of you. Something about the ocean and lakes and water or water pipes, water drainage, water like sewer stuff is coming through. So random, so random. Yeah, so a shocking, unexpected twist or turn in your plans and how you're building. I want to be clear, the universe is not saying don't plan. They're saying plan it differently. It's sort of like you're having to go back to the drawing board, and while you might be like hemming and hawing and like this isn't fair and we put so much effort into this, trust that the universe is actually doing you a blessing, because having to go and restructure it now is going to pay off versus getting too deep into this and spending more money and bringing whatever it is, more people on board, having more. It's like there's more at stake the further you get into this, by the universe kind of pulling out the carpet now and being like, nope, we got to do it differently, or we got to do it again, or we got to do it. Something has to be edited. Maybe it's a different person. Maybe you're hiring and firing, whatever it is. Trust that it's like we're liberating you from what could have been a catastrophe or something that it's like it's coming in to save you, even though it might not feel like it now. It will be better for you in the long run. And for some of you, it's confirming your intuition was telling you something wasn't right here. This is very specific, and it's just an example, though it might be your situation for a few of you out there. It's almost like if this is a workplace scenario, you just had that feeling about that coworker, like they were either shisty or shady, or if not that, even if they were like cool, friends, whatever, you just had this feeling like, why do I feel like they're not going to be here very long? Like we hired them, we went through all the paperwork, and like this could be that your intuition is confirmed. They're like, 2 months into the job, and then one of them is like, oh, I'm pregnant, so I'll be on maternity leave. And you're just like, I knew it. So like you can't count on the person that you thought you could. Or it's this idea that, you know, same scenario. It's like you brought someone on board, you know, they're a great team player the first few weeks. Then they're like, actually, you know what? I just got hired at a new place, so I'm going to have to give you my notice. And you're just like, what? But also, I knew it. Like and it has to do with a team dynamic, guys. This is not you individually. Maybe it has to do with something with family, right? You have a lot of planets moving through Aries, or have had a lot of planets moving through Aries. You know, the sun, again, Mercury retrograde, Venus, like someone that you thought you could depend on and count on, that might not be the case. And you're not completely blindsided by it. I don't know why it's coming through this way, but it's like your intuition was correct. So it's not saying like this is over, forget about it, the door's closed, like, you know, whatever. It's not, there's not a finality to what you're trying to achieve here. It's that you're having to do it in a different way. And for some of you, it's with different people. Tell me a little bit more about this moon. Yeah, try your best to stay balanced even when there is chaos going on around you. And that can be hard, right? It's very easy for me to say, but I'm a human being too. Like, I get it. Sometimes things happen external to us and it does kind of shake us to the core. But we always have the ability to recognize that and then be like, okay, I got to come back into my body. Like my emotions are driving the bus right now. I just got to be like, okay, back in my toes, back in my feet, back in my legs, back in my knees. Like, work through your body energetically to like center yourself. So that way it's like you're in a more advantageous position to deal with adversity or challenges in a intelligent, you know, composed way versus making very rash decisions off of emotions that spring up, but they're not always an accurate representation of the truth. Like, we can get triggered in the moment, but then in time we'll be like, okay, you know what? Maybe this happened for a reason. You know, my intuition was sensing this person's heart wasn't in it. So even though they're a good person and I feel a little bit, I don't know if backstabbed is too strong a word. Like, I feel a little bit disappointed that they left, even though I stuck my neck out for them. Ultimately, if they were going to leave anyway, let's just have them leave now so that we can get back on track. Like, there's an ability to step away from this. And even though you don't understand why and all the reasons, I think you need to compartmentalize it and be like, okay, this is the facts, this is the reality, and this is a Jupiter card, so it says I'm still going to be able to grow from here. This is just like a temporary challenge, a temporary setback. Yeah, this may impact income or money flow, streams of income, streams of money, I'm hearing. I also think there's a changing of the guard in terms of leadership and position and roles and who's stepping up to like lead the team or lead the project. Again, this is metaphors. It doesn't have to be at work, but I also think the Knight of Pentacles is sort of ushering the idea of a change in speed, a change in timelines. Virgo, much like sort of the Saturn stuff we were talking about, the Mars-Saturn conjunction, where Mars is like, let's fucking do this, and Saturn is like, no. Like, slow down. We're not there yet. I think Virgo, much like kind of the Saturnian Capricorn Earth stuff, it says, no, we're going to do this. We're going to keep progressing. But like, the end goal is what's important. How we get there is going to be important in terms of like the precision and the discipline. And like, I do think this is saying you're going to have to slow down the process, even though I can feel you, Capricorn, it's killing you a little bit. Like, you thought this was done, dusted, contract signed, you know, bring the new person on board, you know, sell the family house, whatever it is. And you're just like, okay, so here we are. Very much like back to the drawing board. But again, I want to give you some hope and some encouragement. It's not over. It's not finalized in the sense of like, oh, you're screwed and that's the end of the story. No. Like, you're still building, but trust that the universe is wanting to have you build this on a more solid foundation, right? Like the 3s and the 4s speak of before we get to the solid foundation, something came through to disrupt, or with the tower, like erupt something so that we could see it more clearly in terms of like the flaws and what wasn't working. And now that we can see it clearly, we're not stuck in the tower. The tower ushers in the star of healing, where there is this kind of like soft illumination. And I'm almost getting this as like a soft launch or a rough idea of how we can change it. But with that, we still need to like mend it. We need to do the mending and the fixing behind the scenes before we, you know, whatever, show it off to the world. It's testing your faith. It's testing your commitment. But I don't think this is saying walk away entirely. I think this is saying we have to recognize what challenges are being thrown at us. Again, Saturn energy. For a lot of you, the biggest disappointment here, it's more on the emotional front. It's feeling like someone that you had invested time and energy and possibly even love with let you down, like that you guys actually weren't on the same team or fighting the same battle. Or for some of you, it's more the idea of like, there's a change of heart. Somebody's like, I really enjoyed working with you, but, like, I feel like I'm being called in this direction. And this is someone who you were depending on. And maybe your finances depended on this person showing up and doing their job too. So, like, it's a struggle, but it is a temporary struggle or a temporary challenge that you're going to work through with, it sounds cliche, but with faith, with positivity, and sort of a reinvigorated sense of commitment, because I think your heart has to be in the right place too. And with that, there is something here about compassion and understanding for where the other person is. I don't think anyone was trying to F you over. I think it's one of those situations that is circumstantial, and unfortunately, you do seem to be taking some of the brunt of this or suffering a little bit because of someone else's decisions. But I think you have to pull it back and be like, it's not personal, it's business. But with that, I did kind of start to get emotionally invested in this. And this is not true for all of you, but this message is very important. I think the universe is having you adjust your emotional investment in this so that you don't get disappointed like this again, because for some of you, you're starting to see the true colors of the leadership at this place. That, maybe if there was firing, even if you didn't get your head on the chopping block, you're starting to understand, like, oh, like, maybe I'm just a number to these people. Like, I thought we had this nice little connection and we were like, in it for the team and team dynamics. Some of you are like, oh, that's effed up. Like, but with that, there's more clarity on where you stand. And some of you, there might even be a sense of fear of like, well, if they let that person go and I thought they were doing a really kick-ass job, what does that mean for my future here? And so for some of you, this Knight of Pentacles may be safety-proofing yourself, watching your spending, maybe putting out feelers at other jobs or doing some research just to see. And like, don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not predicting like you're going to get fired. That's not what this is about. It's not about fear-based readings. I don't even really sense that for the most of you, but I do think you're having a wake-up call or an epiphany about who you're working with, and either not getting too emotionally invested in them or seeing them for who they really are and how they operate at the workplace or in this dynamic, in this team group, and it has to do with self-preservation, making better choices for yourself moving forward in how you choose to interact with these people, this energy, this job, this business. Because for some of you, I get it. You're at a place where like, you know what? This is just a paycheck to me now. Like, I was so invested and so committed and like, I loved my job, but because of the impacts and the effects of another person, you're just like, you know what? Whatever, which is so not like a Capricorn thing. So that kills me to say, because somebody really did break your trust or your faith in them. But you do seem to be responding in a way that is leaning into self-preservation of yourself. Because ultimately, I think you learned, for some of you, it's like, the people I thought were looking out for me, maybe they're not. And so maybe I snuck by or I squeaked by this time, but there's no certainty of that in the future. Yeah, this talks about job security, guys. Big time. There might be fear of that, and I think you guys realize like the only person who's really looking out for me is me, so I have to operate with that mentality. I don't think you need to go into need to go into work or whatever this is with kind of this fear of everyone's out to get me and I'm going to be super paranoid about it and not trust anyone. No, because that's not a healthy response. This is a healthy response. It's like, I can only control me. I can control what I can control, and I got to put the rest, give it to God or give it to the universe. Like, have faith that something or someone is looking out for me. But with that, if there is some sort of major shift or change, I'm better off leaning into the fact that maybe I'm meant to do my work elsewhere where I do feel better respected. And for some of you, just, point blank, this might resonate for you in terms of a relationship. Because like, here, it feels very work-related. You have very strong cards of like team dynamic, Virgo, Taurus, work, money, stuff like that. But if I go to the bottom of the deck, what's interesting is this is also in some way impacting romantic relationships. With the Four of Wands, the Lovers, and this card, which is undeniably romantic, I don't know, bringing work home with you. If you come in like a crappy mood every night because there's been changes at work, are you isolating or alienating your partner because like, ugh, I don't want to hang out with you if you're going to be, you know what I mean? Like, this is impacting you in multiple areas. So there might be sort of a wake-up call of what is really important to you. Some of you, and I've been getting this message for Capricorn a lot lately, some of you are going to be much more focused on family, love, partnership, dating more than you have before, because something about work is giving you a little bit of like leaving a bad taste in your mouth, where you're like, I'm not certain about this anymore. I might sort of adjust accordingly based on what I'm seeing and what people are telling me. It's almost like, it very much feels like what's coming down the corporate ladder, it's like morally you're no longer with it, or ethically, or there's something about like, I can't stand for this anymore because I see what's happening and it doesn't feel right to me. I do think for a lot of you, what does feel right is your partnership, but then you're starting to realize where you've been neglecting that in order to make something come true at work, and you're like, ooh, that was, again, sort of like, there was a 180 here. There's a big 180 for Capricorn. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Taurus, Virgo, Pisces, Cancer, Gemini, those are the ones that want to come out the most this week. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want more content from me, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.